Today our lesson is on rectilinear figures. Find the perimeter and area of each figure. Well, we need to remember there are two formulas here. There is perimeter, which means add up all the sides. Now, perimeter is always the outside. It could be a border or the edge. It could be bushes lined around your backyard, okay? As long as it's the outside, and I always remember the rim of a glass is the outside part, not the inside. So perim is always a border or the outside lines. Okay, so we're going to take a look at solving the perimeter. Well, this was already done for you. And in order to get the dimensions for the perimeter, you need to count the square sides. 1, 2 sides here, 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 here, 2 sides here, and there's 5 across here and 5 down. And then you add those up. That's the formula, add up all the sides. And in this case, we get 20. When we add 5 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 5, we get 20 units. And since we're not given a specific measurement like feet or meters, we just call it units. Now, to get the area, this is a rectilinear figure. That means I need to break it into 2 rectangles. So here I chose to do 5 times 2. So I'm going to break this section into a rectangle, and I'm going to shade that in so you can see that rectangle there. And in order to find what should I multiply, because my formula for area is length times width, we'll look for the 2 lines that meet right here, like two perpendicular. They're perpendicular lines right there, and wherever they meet, you're going to have your length and your width there. And then you just multiply 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Now we have one, that's actually 10 square. We have one of the rectangles, and we're going to shade in the second rectangle. And here we have 2 sides that meet, 3 times 2, length times width. And the final answer is going to be 16. Remember, that's 16 square units when we add the 10 plus 6. Now you can also check this. You can check this by counting how many squares are inside your grid or tiles, depending what you're using. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and there is 16 square units. You can also write this as 16, let's say the units are in feet, okay? 16 feet squared. That's another way to write area as squared, okay? So 16 square units, you can write the whole word. And in this case, you'd have to have, I could write this 16 units squared. And you put the little 2 on the top there to represent squared. All right, so let's take a look at B now. B here, the sides are done for you already. But in order to do that, you count the squares, 1, 2, 3, and I'm just looking at the sides. Okay, there's 5 here. There's 7 here, 3 going up, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and don't forget the sides that are under or on the side. Those are often forgotten and you need to be careful. So I would count the sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore I need to have 6 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when I add up those 6 numbers, I get 24 units. Now to do the area, I'm going to split this into 2 rectangles, okay? I'm going to call this, I'm going to shade in this rectangle. This will be red. Now when I take a look at what 2 numbers, my length times width, that I should pick, I can see that these corner each other and make a perpendicular line. So I'm going to take 3 times 5. Here's 3 times 5. Why don't I take 5 times 7? Well, this isn't 7. Notice there's only 1, 2, 3. 3 columns, or 3 in each row. There are 5 rows with 3 in each. So I'm not going to take that 7. I'm going to take exactly the dimensions I need to make this rectangle. So the final rectangle here, we'll shade that in. And I take a look at the 2 lines that attach to make a perpendicular corner, and that's 3 times 4. Notice I don't take 3 times 7 because that's the whole bottom line or border of this figure. So 3 times 4 is 12. I recorded here 12 plus 15 is 27. And remember, area is always squared. So I have 27 square units, which can also be written as 27 units squared. That 2 representing the idea of being squared. And if we can also check it by counting the number of squares inside this figure. Area is always the inside, where perim, the rim, is the borders or the outside. So let's count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So you can check by counting the inside for area. Our final figure is C. The faces or the dimensions of the perimeter are again numbered. 1. There's 6 if you count all of these square sides. 6. There are 8 across the bottom here, 2 here, 7. No, it stops right here so it doesn't go all the way. And then there's 4. Don't forget to count all your sides. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I should have 6 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I do because I have 6 sides. When I add these numbers up or dimensions up, I get 28. So in this case, we're going to have 28 units for the perimeter. Okay. Now for our area, we're going to divide these, or this figure, into 2 rectangles. This is a very thin rectangle, but it's still a rectangle. A rectangle has 4 sides. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 sides are parallel and 2 opposite sides are parallel. So we're going to go ahead and shade this guy in. Then we'll do our check. So the area of this rectangle is 1 across. That means there's 1 in each of this long row, and there's 6 rows. 1 times 6, whoops. Oh, you know what? I divided this differently, so I'm going to have to divide it the way I did it here. It looks like I did 2 times 8. So I'm going to stick with that. Okay. Let's do 2 times 6 because that's how we did it here. But there are different ways you can do this. The way I just did it, you still can do it that way, and you still can do 2 times 7. So that's a different way, but we'll stick with this. And we'll make a rectangle all the way across here. Okay, so it's good to know that you can break these rectangles in other possible ways. So we'll do it here. And so now we have 2 times 8. It goes all the way across here. Okay, and we get 16. And then we have a smaller rectangle here. And it's not 1 times 6 because these 2 are being used for this rectangle. So I'm going to take a look at the 2 corners that meet. And that's a 1. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have 1 times 4 is 4. So when I add the 16 squares in here and the 4 squares here, I get 20. 20 square units. So 20. And you can write the whole word out. Square units. or you can write it as 20 units squared. Okay, so let's take a look at the last questions here. Describe how you found the area for the figures above. Well, we broke these rectilinear figures into two rectangles, and you could just write that in. I go into a lot of detail here, but you can just say I broke the figure into two rectangles. I found the area for each of the separate rectangles, and then I added up those to get the final answer, or the square units of the whole figure. And then, well, how do you know that your answers are correct? Well, you can add in all the squares, and when you add up all the squares inside, because remember, area is the inside, while perimeter is the outside borders. But when you add those all up, you will come up with the correct answer. Okay, if you have grid paper. If you don't have grid paper, you're just going to have to use the formulas to help you come up with the correct answers. I hope this was helpful to you.